Hi folks, I've got to apologise, it's been a long time and I've got a message from one of my subscribers who wondered where I was, so I thought well, it's a golden opportunity to make another video, and it's something that I've been thinking about doing for a little while. I've made some notes because there's quite a few odds and sods I want to talk about. You know, we've got a parliament that is 800 years old. It didn't become a democracy until 100 years or so ago. Let me just shut the windows a bit. And but when Charles I called the long and the short parliaments, in 1653, that was eventually broken up by Oliver Cromwell. Obviously Charles lost his head, and but the thing is, that brought in quite a long period of military rule, which was not a good time in England. The corporatist collaborators, who are party representatives in Parliament at the moment, I've got an absolute contempt for us and this country, and by us I mean anybody who's got a sense of right and wrong, anybody who's got an ounce of morals in them or an ounce of honour. I find that when all these people are screaming and shouting about Brexit and this, that and the other, it's all designed that way. I mean, I've been saying it for years, and if you follow my channel you'll understand that Parliament is, or should be, an administrative wing of the general public. That's all. But we've had a corporatist coup. We live in a fascist state. Fascism is a mixture of state and corporations. Listen to a few of Mussolini's speeches, he talks about it quite a lot. And that's exactly what we got. Because Britain was bankrupt, it came off the gold standard. The World Bank lent us money, and all that was designed. I mean, you've only got to look back when George Soros bankrupted the pound, when we got thrown out of the exchange rate mechanism. That was all deliberate. World Bank lent us money, and then what they do the same thing that they've done everywhere in the world, in Greece, in Venezuela, everywhere. Which is, then they go in and they say, right, we want our money back. Oh look, you haven't got any money. Well, you can give us all your assets then, and we'll privatise water and healthcare and the military and the police force and anything else we can get our grubby, dirty little satanic hands on. And that's exactly what they've done. You know, I've got to a point where I understand how things work with money and what have you. I've never paid for anything in my life, and neither have you. Why do I say that? I say that because it's got promise to pay on the notes, which means every time I use that note, I'm only promising to pay for it. I haven't actually paid for it. And where does the value go that my sweat equity's produced? Well, it doesn't go to me, it doesn't go to you, it doesn't go to pay that debt that I've just created. Where does it go? It goes to the top And what we're finding is that's becoming more and more obvious with things like Brexit. The people at the top and the people who are their willing slaves, their house slaves, those people, they don't get nothing. They get a few through baubles. They get an extra bit of cash here and there. And all these people at the top are all the same. George Soros is Jewish. He worked for the Germans. Helped the Germans steal Jewish property that the Jews left behind when they were shipped off to the work camps, the death camps. So there you go. That's just one small example. And the thing I've been saying for a long time is becoming truer for me now than it ever has. And that's, you've got to stop paying attention to all this crap. You've got to stop paying attention to the controversy. You've got to stop paying attention to the sorry, I lost my train of thought and seeing that sheep's leg hanging off. A lot of animals get run down along here. You can see why. This is part of Dartmoor and people just don't slow down. Anyway, whenever you study the occult, you start to learn about the twin pillars, and the third pillar in the middle is balance. In the Mayan cultures and pre-Mayan cultures, I think it was called Quetzalcoatl, something like that, or Quetzalcoatl, feathered serpent, always shown in between the two pillars. It shows balance. It shows the masculine and the feminine brought together in Freemasonry. You've got Boaz on Jackin, and then you've got the pillar in the middle. The pillar of mercy. All through the occult you've got this balance. And so I'm going to say to you again, you need to start studying this stuff. You need to start looking at the Kabbalion. You need to start looking at the Kabbalah, the true Jewish tree of life. I say the Jewish tree of life is much older than that. And a lot of there's some Jews who are of the same view as the Hermetists, where you shouldn't teach this stuff to people who aren't from your little clique. But since 1900, some Jews have been starting to teach Kabbalah to Goy, and because they understand that all these religions are about control. All of these religions are from the old priest class. I'll take you through a little timeline now, which is quite interesting. The Romans. Now, I've talked about this before, about Constantine creating Catholicism. Well, quite a while before Constantine were the Flavians. The Flavians were a Roman family. One of them became Caesar. few of the sons became generals. One of the generals was a guy called Titus Flavian, and Titus actually sacked Jerusalem, flattened it so that no stone was on another stone, and that's the story of Jesus going to Jerusalem, effectively. And it's looking like, with a lot of research that people have been doing, that the Roman Empire was struggling. They'd sorted out this Jewish problem, but they had a Christian problem. And damned inconvenient Christians causing trouble, not want to be ruled by dictators. So there was a Jewish traitor called Josephus, who sold his own people out. Who does that remind you of? Soros. And turns out that he might have written the New Testament, the Gospels. Now, I'm not saying that Jesus didn't exist. I'm not saying that. I'm not attacking anybody's beliefs. You can believe what you like. That's what it's all about. And I don't know whether I believe this or not either, because I haven't seen any physical proof of it yet. But I would do some more digging. But Josephus allegedly wrote the New Testament, and in there you've got things like, obey the government and the government will praise you. Disobey the government and it will hurt you or kill you or steal your stuff. And that's exactly the society we're living in now. Constantine had another Christian problem later on, and that's when he invented Catholicism. So the New Testament was already written when Constantine invented Catholicism, and those Gospels were used as a form of control in our entire societies based on that. And since then, the churches of all religions, because let's face it, they're all the same religion. They're Sol Invictus, the incomparable sun, the dark sun, which is what the Romans used to worship. When you look at it closely, the Christian church has got the symbol of the sun, and if you look at Catholic windows and all these paintings and idolatry they put all around the place, there's always got the halo around the head. And in Islam you've got the symbol of the moon in the night sky, and in Judaism you've got the symbol of the Star of David. And so it goes on, and all three of those religions control. And even the subdivisions. The only true religions are the old Gnostic religions. It's the ancient religion. So the new religion of the real New Age, not this modern bullshit variant of the New Age, but the real New Age is the ancient religion of knowing you inside. The key to everything is inside you. Listen to the Kabbalion. The universe is mental, and I don't mean the universe is mental. Yeah, the universe is a construction of your own mind. Now, I'm not saying that everybody exists in their own little bubble and they create their own universe and everybody else interacts with that. That's solipsism. Nothing's real apart from you, and that's huge ego. What I'm saying is, whatever you think about truly deeply in your subconscious, how you feel, how you react to things, creates your surroundings. So think Hermes or one of the other seers said that what you see outside of you, your friends, what you've got, all the rest of it, is a direct mirror of what's inside your head. So that's interesting. And my proof for this, because I try not to say anything that I don't really know about, and if I don't know about it, I acknowledge that, is that the Romans always tried to destroy, and not only the Romans, but the Christians and the Mohammedans, they've all spent the last 1,000 or a couple of thousand years trying to basically kill off any of the old religions. You know, the Spanish were sent to kill off the Maya, who, if you believe the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, were direct descendants of the priests of Atlantis, and had a great memory of the knowledge, the old writings. The Cathars in Spain, the North American Indians, the South American Indians, the Mayans, the Maoris, all of these religions, I won't say religions, I will say followers of natural law. All of these followers of natural law all have one thing in common: they have all been murdered by the church. So that's what I'm using as evidence to think that the only way to get this back is to light that spark inside you, is to know thyself, and the truth will set you free, it says in the Bible. Know the truth. The truth is natural law, the golden rule. We're beings of energy. In the Emerald Tablets, Thoth says that the soul is everything and the body is nothing. We're beings of light. But man, in his infinite stupidity, keeps opening the portals to evil. And that's exactly what he does. Because partially he's being misled, but partially he can't help himself. We can't help but to put short-term gain over long-term stability. You know, we'd rather live as slaves as a race. We'd rather live as slaves in a prison planet than it seems have our own free will in a paradise planet. And there's only one thing that's going to change that, and that's you've got to do good. In everything you do, you've got to do good. You've got to speak the truth when somebody's speaking a lie. You've got to what's a good example? Well, the other day in work, two guys were talking about politics, and I said to them, do you honestly believe that your vote makes the slightest bit of difference? And I've always said this, but everybody just looks at you as though you're stupid. But it doesn't. All it does is reinforce the paradigm that you think you've got a choice between the right and the left, or red and white, or blue and pink, or He's not even supposed to be down here. There's a weight limit. So again, that's another form of control. All of this stuff, we're not, hear the politicians talking about the rule of law, but we're, like David Starkey says, we're not ruled by law anymore. We're ruled by lawyers. And lawyers are just paid liars. My MP didn't have an answer when I accused him of war crimes, and he said, well, if you think the government's committing war crimes, then you need to make a complaint to the Attorney General. And I just turned around to him and said, well, the Attorney General's just a political appointee, so what's the point of that? So what, that's what I wanted. That was my point, is that the world is run by corporations. Corporations are dead entities. The church, all of them, are for control, nothing more. And the Roman Church runs pretty much everything. The UK is the money wing, the City of London is the money wing, I've said this before. The District of Columbia in the US is the military wing. We were the military wing at one time for quite a few years, 300 odd years. And the Vatican is a religious wing. That's run by the Jesuits and various other hidden hands. Allegedly, because I can't prove any of it. But I can feel inside what's right and wrong. And that's all we can all do. If you can deeply understand the Kabbalion, that's a good starting point. And I've recently started looking at the Thunderstruck tree, the tree of life, the Kabbalah, and tarot as well. Because tarot isn't like a Ouija board. A Ouija board, you know what you're talking to. But tarot comes from inside you. I found that it helps me to make decisions I already knew about. I had the it's alright, no need to thank me. I've asked lots of questions, and when you can't make your mind up about what question, about a particular thing, or should I do this or should I do that? I find that the tarot helps me to focus on that. It doesn't give me the answer, but I'm trying to sell something at the moment, and I didn't know whether I should sell it or not. And I just can't anyway. That's fine. And I pulled out the Queen of Swords after heavily shuffling the tarot, and it's a card of action, and it's also a card that, in my case, it meant to me that I'm strong, I know what I've got to do, I've got to make a plan, and and get on with it, and things will be fine. I knew that anyway, but it just reinforced it, and I find that fascinating, because that sort of thing has never happened to me before. And I think that partly that's due to my study of the occult as well. It takes a while. It's a painful journey. It breaks down. You have to break down all your deepest thoughts and beliefs, because none of this is belief. Because you can prove all this, and I've proved lots of different things so far on my journey, but you have to prove it to yourself. You have to prove that, you may get tarot and not get anything from it, but you may be far beyond that sort of thing, or you may just not have an open enough mind to start with. I know I didn't. I've been studying this stuff for 4 years plus now, and I struggle with a lot of the concepts, especially learning the tarot, and some of the other things talked about. But then some of the things talked about in the Emerald Tablets, when I first heard that, I didn't have a clue what was going on about. And I hadn't listened to it for, 10 months, 12 months. And I decided to listen to it this last couple of days again. And he's talking about stuff, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm beginning to understand this now. It's different examples of different things. He's talking about donning the red robe. Well, in alchemy, that's got a specific meaning, and just lots of different things. But you just start to pick up on this stuff. Once you realise that you can live by the Kabbalah and natural law and the golden rule, that actually changes things. It does start to change your life a bit. I've become much closer to nature. I've even started gardening, believe it or not. I even used to hate sitting in the garden. So it changes you as a person, and it gets you in touch. At the Oracle in Delphi, it's carved on the front of the building. If you don't find what you're looking for inside you, you'll never find it outside. And the churches won't tell you that, because they just want to tell you that they're the vicars of God, and you can't get through to God unless you go through them, and obviously fill up their plate and their bellies. There is time for this planet. I don't know how much time, but it doesn't matter, because if your soul is strong and pure, and you understand that your soul is energy, then you won't be afraid to die. And the more you learn in this life, the less you'll have to learn in the next one. God is at the centre of things, whatever you think he might be. And the number 666 symbolises what we are now. Base consciousness. We're, as a species, we're morons, easily led, drunken fools, drunk on our own egos. What I'm attempting to do is get to 777, which is to be like God. Not God. No man could ever be God. But like God. God is 888. So just think about that. And if you're listening to this video and you're understanding a little bit, then you'll begin to understand what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to be patronising either or blow my own trumpet. I'm honestly trying to help. And it's hard work learning this stuff. Anyway, I'm going to stop now because I'm just rambling. So I'll try and do a few more in-depth videos and what have you, but I'm not going to promise anything because I made promises before and I don't keep them all the time. So the road to hell is paved with good intentions, as they say. So I'll try not to leave it so long between videos, and I'll try and make them a lot shorter than this one. Alright? So have peace in your heart, and I'll speak to you soon. God bless.